Hey there, today we're talking about building strong habits that stick. I'm Onnie Michalsky. I'm a wellness coach for overachieving moms who struggle with putting themselves on their to-do list. And we are talking about habits today. Those behaviors that you don't necessarily think about, you repeat them without much thinking. And these habits are going to be what bring you to your next level. They are going to be those behaviors in your day that you don't have to think about much. So much so that you'll be able to create the space to be able to pursue passions and rediscover who you are without your mom hat on. And so let's just dive right in. So today we're talking about the 5 steps to build strong habits. If you haven't, depending on where you're watching, there's going to be a link to be able to download your workbook that will accompany this class and will allow you to work through, do some brainstorming, some journaling exercises in order to better understand the material as well as to help you implement all of the concepts that we'll be talking about today. So let's just dive right in. So we've got step number 1 is to make a decision. And at first glance, you might think that the decision that you need to make is the actual habit that you plan on establishing. But I want you to go a little bit deeper than that. And the decision that I'd like you to make is, what is the identity that you want to step into? Who do you want to become, right? Whether that be a person who is very organized, or a runner, or an exerciser, or an artist, right? You need to be able to embrace that identity that's going to, because once you make that decision that you want to be, we're just going to go with runner here. Once you embrace that identity of a runner, you may not have even bought sneakers yet, but once you embrace that identity as being a runner, you're going to start, it's going to be a lot easier to carry out the behaviors that a runner does, right? You've made that commitment. I am a runner. And in that matter, it's only a matter of building up, like creating those, doing the actions that support being a runner, right? Now, of course, there's a whole lot of more stuff that go with building those habits, and I'm going to get into that. But the first decision that you need to make is that identity that you would like to embrace. Now, in the workbook, I want you to do a little bit of brainstorming. I want you to decide, how do you want, do a little thought exercise where do you want your life to be? Let's just say 6 months from now. How do you want your life to be different in 6 months than it was today, or that it is today? You came to this class for a reason, and maybe you're just curious as to what I was going to be talking about, and what are the steps to creating a habit, because chances are you have some habits already in your life, whether those habits serve you or don't serve you, right? I like to stay away from the good and bad habits, but rather the habits that are going to serve you or support that identity versus the habits that don't serve you and don't support the habit or identity that you are wishing to step into. So I want you to just take a minute and think about, what does your life look like now, and how do you want it to look different in 6 months? So, and how do you want to feel, right? This goes back to, in my counselor hat, I work under the model of cognitive behavioral therapy. And cognitive behavioral therapy is based on the premise that your thoughts influence your emotions and your actions, your behaviors. And in this case, we're talking about those behaviors that are repeating and that you don't have to think about much. And so when we go to that, your thoughts are stemming from your beliefs. So we want to say, like, how do you want to feel in 6 months? And perhaps you're not, you're feeling like stuck right now. You're feeling like there's not much, that you kind of might have gotten lost in being a mom and the everyday rut. And that might, even when I say the word routine earlier, you might have imagined, that might have just struck a chord with you, routine, get stuck in the rut. Like, I don't want to be one of those moms that have to be at home at 2 p.m. every single day because of the routine that I'm in. And it kind of takes away that freedom and you might feel trapped. But I want you to kind of step back and start seeing a routine as something different. A routine is going to set you up so that you don't get decision fatigued, which if you know what that is, if you don't know what that is, that's when you have so many thoughts going on in the day, so many decisions that you have to make, that by the end of the day, it's the same reason why at the end of the day, like, you're like, oh my gosh, what's for dinner? Like, you have made so many decisions, as little as like what you're going to wear and where you're going to put the clean cup, right? Like, all of these decisions that you have to make, they add up and it contributes to decision fatigue. And so these thoughts that you're having are influencing the feelings that you're feeling. And so in 6 months, how do you want to feel, right? And this goes back to, what are those thoughts? But even more so, what are the beliefs? What do you believe is possible? And when you identify what it is you want to feel, like, what are kind of thoughts would a runner have? Right? And it wouldn't be, oh, I'm not going to run today, because you're a runner and that's what runners run. So I'm going to pause this just for a second. So then you want to look at the beliefs. What do you need to believe in order to make this happen, or to think the things that it's like a Dr. Seuss book. Think the thoughts that a runner would have. And then finally, what behaviors or actions would a person who believed that about themselves, what kind of actions or behaviors would that person have? And so these are the questions that I want you to explore in order to make the decision of what is the identity, or who do you want to become. That is step number 1, is to make a decision. Step number 2 is to explore your reasons. It all goes back to your why. And this is where you may be feeling very motivated right now to be able to make a change, to create some habits, to, kind of start something new in your life. And that motivation is wonderful, but it's not going to stay. It's not sustainable. As you probably know by now, there's things that you probably started in life, different habits that you wanted to continue and be consistent with, but then you find that motivation wavers, which is why it's so important to explore your reasons why. I want you to get out, even if you haven't downloaded the workbook, taking pen to paper has been shown to be so important, or so helpful, to be able to slow down and to process and digest what it is you're writing. And so I want you to take some time to explore why it is you want to start these habits. Why is it that you want to step into this identity? Why is it so important, right? There's this whole exercise, the 7 reasons, or the 7 levels of why, or something like that, where you ask, it's Socratic questioning, and it's asking, well, why is that important? Well, why is that important? Like, I want to be a runner. Why do you want to be a runner? Well, because I've always admired, I don't even know any famous runners, but I've always admired, my uncle who ran marathons. Okay, well, why is it important that you imitate or be like your uncle, right? Like, you keep asking yourself, you get curious and you keep asking yourself, but why? But why is that important? Why is that important? What does that mean to you, right? And you get to the core of why. And because you have it written down, when your motivation and your willpower and all of the things that go into helping you be consistent, when that starts to waver, when you have a bad day, knowing your why will make all of the difference, because it'll allow you to look back and to reestablish your commitment, because you already have it written down. You've written it down on a day that you felt so motivated and you knew without a doubt that this is what you wanted to do. The day you committed to being that person, that new person. And that's going to help you get through the roadblocks, right? Whether mental, physical roadblocks, it's going to help you get over them so that you can continue to move towards that person that you want to become. So that was number 2, explore your reasons. I said number 2 and I held out one finger, but I don't even think you could see that one finger. Step number 3, attach your habits. And what I mean by that is I want you to marry your habits. I want you to take a habit, look at your current routines, those things that you're already doing with not much thought, whether that's like I like to start with habit building with looking at your bookends, your morning and your night. Those are the easiest times because I know during the day, especially like when your kids are home in the summer, you probably don't have many routines. It's probably every day is different, blah, blah, blah. But the morning and the night seems to be a prime spot in order to build routines, especially if you're starting with it and building habits. So I want you to look, let's look at your morning routine. And you've heard that starting positive affirmations has been a good thing. And you're like, but when in the day, like, I'll never remember to do this. I'll never remember to, do these. What do I even say for these affirmations? So you download a list. You decide that you're going to start doing affirmations. So I want you to look at your routine that you already have in place. And maybe you decide to do it in the morning. You decide in the morning because you're like, I'm setting myself up for the day. Like I'm going to start off mentally reminding myself that I am beautiful or I am smart, whatever your affirmation is that you decide to do. And you decide that you're going to do it in the morning. So you look at that morning routine and you decide where in your morning does it make sense? Where in your morning is there something that you do every day that you would be able to place that new habit? So you're going to attach the new habit to your old habit. And it usually happens right after something that you're already doing. And so, for example, let's say the affirmations. In the morning, you typically brush your teeth every single morning. And so you're going to make that decision. I want to be a person who does affirmations. I want to be more confident, right? I want to be a confident person. There's your identity. Now you make your second step was, sorry, I gotta look back because I'm going through the workbook instead of my notes. Your reason why, sorry, let me grab this. Your reason why you want to be a more confident person, right? You've narrowed that down. And now you want to attach the habit of doing affirmations to brushing your teeth. So after I brush my teeth, I will say my affirmation for the day. You went ahead and you married that new habit to the old habit. So this is called habit stacking. And this has been shown to really increase your odds of being consistent and making that habit stick, is attaching those habits. So step number 4 is to set reminders. Now, how will you remember? Remember, I was just talking about the beliefs that you hold. Those beliefs that you hold, that all of your thoughts, emotions, and actions come from, those beliefs have been ingrained in you for years and years. They've been set, which is why you've been thinking and been doing the same thing. And so you want to counteract, or you want to intercept those beliefs and do something different, which is going to take some work. It's going to take some reminders. And so physical cues or visual cues are the perfect way to be able to create that reminder, to intercept that belief, and to kind of steer you away, like to do something different. So for example, with the toothbrush, after I brush my teeth, I will say an affirmation. How will you remember that this is something that you're working on establishing? Well, one thing that you could do is tie a rubber band at the end of your toothbrush. And when you feel that, it will jog your memory. Maybe you have a little token or a rock or something that's out of the ordinary, that's not necessarily going to be in your bathroom next to your toothbrush. And the actual seeing that rock right next to your toothbrush will jog your memory. You want to be able to create these cues to be able to intercept that belief, to be able to set that new habit in place. And then you're going to find if you continue to do that, you're not going to need that visual cue after a while, because it's going to be just who you are. It's going to be, I brush my teeth, and then I say an affirmation, it's just going to fall right into that routine. And so setting that reminder is your number 4th step. Finally, number 5 is to reward yourself. And so there's 3 main types of rewards. You've got natural rewards, social rewards, and tangible rewards. Natural rewards are just the natural consequence of doing a behavior. So for example, saying the affirmation, the natural reward would be, yes, you're gaining confidence, you are changing that belief, it makes you feel good, right? These are the natural consequences of saying the affirmation. A social reward would be getting, like, you decide to dress up, right? You've been wearing sweats, and I know many of you have. So you decide that you want to start a new habit of getting actually like dressed nice every day, putting on makeup and all that. So you go out and you get a compliment. That would be a social reward. You've got like a praise or compliments. Those are social rewards. A tangible reward would be an actual object or like a physical reward. So an example of that is, you go to your favorite movie after you've meditated for 5 days, or after you've said the affirmation, you've had 5 days of successfully saying the affirmation, and you go treat yourself to a movie. Now, with rewards, they're tricky because you don't want to stick. I don't think it's financially possible, first of all, but you want to move from an external reward to an internal reward. You don't want to continually have to reward yourself with these positive or with these tangible rewards, because you're not going to, that prize isn't going to be as meaningful. You want to move to more natural rewards. And so one way to do that is to kind of set up a system where, say, 3 times, well, I said 5 times. Yeah, 5 times after you do the affirmations, then you reward yourself with something small. And then after, 10 times, you reward you, like you're stretching out till eventually that habit is set, and you won't need that tangible reward. You'll get enough reward just from that natural consequence that happens, the natural result. And so you also want the reward, especially in the beginning when it's the tangible reward, you want it to fit the behavior or the habit, right? Like, you're not going to reward yourself for 5 days of saying the affirmation, book yourself a cruise to the Caribbean. No, it doesn't match. If you're working on not having second helpings at dinner, and you're working on the habit of just eating whatever's on your plate first go around, you don't want to reward yourself with a smorgasbord or big old buffet at the end. Like, you want it to fit the actual habit. And then finally, get support. I have a self-care goals club, and it's a membership. It's a membership for moms who are serious about putting themselves on the to-do list. You get the support, accountability, the guidance. You get monthly trainings. You get discounts to all of my workshops and courses that I hold. But the most important thing that you get in the Self-Care Goals Club is the support and the community of the other members. The members love coming together. I do coaching calls, and I've been working on doing some real-time events. We've got a book club that's about to start up. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it's going to be in full swing. But I would love to have you in the group. It's a bunch of moms, and we're all in different seasons of life, but we're all working on self-development and self-growth, because life does not stop when you become a mom. You do not stop becoming you. You don't stop being you. You can become even better. And just because you have that mom hat on doesn't mean that you can't take care of you. And that's what the Self-Care Goals Club is all about. So I would love to have you find out more, ask me questions, but most of all, I'd love to have you in the group, in the club. So check that out. And I thank you for joining me today for Building Strong Habits. I plan on having some more classes like this in the future. Let me know any ideas that you have, anything that you think would be useful to you or to other other viewers, other moms. And that's it. I'm signing off. Take care of you. You are worth it.